Holy shit, we're actually here, folks. The final game in this small little retrospective. Now, over the course of all 2 games I looked at so far, they had their ups and their downs, especially downs. But does this final game make this whole trilogy worth it? Well, there's only one way to see. So, as the finale to the Final Fantasy XIII Trilogy retrospective, welcome to my trash or treasure of Lightning Returns. Final Fantasy XIII. Enjoy the show. Hello and welcome everyone to the final chapter of the Final Fantasy XIII Trilogy retrospective. For the finale, it's Lightning Returns, Final Fantasy XIII. Lightning Returns is an action RPG developed and published by Square Enix and was originally released in February of 2014 for PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360. Later, it would get a Steam release in December of 2015 before a Japan exclusive mobile version in February of 2016. This is one of the first games in this trilogy I played before purchasing the full game. It was mostly out of curiosity since I heard negative things about the 13 trilogy in general. So I played the demo of Lightning Returns and I considered it a fairly good action RPG before moving on to 13-2. But let's answer the question, is Lightning Returns a piece of trash or is it a treasure worth playing? Let's find out. Okay, so Returns plot first opens with Lightning being awoken from crystal stasis by the god Bunivels, and not even an hour into the game, and we're told that the world is set to end in 13 days. So, to end this, Lightning is made the savior, a figure who will free souls of humanity from the burdens on their hearts and guide them to a new world that Bunivels will create once the 13 days are up. Lightning agrees to commit this task on the condition that this godlike figure ensures the rebirth of Sarah's spirit since she did die at the end of 13-2 for those who are wondering. Hope returns and acts as her guide from the Ark. No, not that Ark. No, not that one either. There we go. Which houses the rescued souls of humanity. The only sort of downside of Hope is that he has been reverted back to his 14-year-old self from the original 13. Now, as Lightning journeys and performs her tasks, she encounters her former allies and adversaries, many of whom carry heavy emotional burdens. Lightning is also followed by this chick named Lumina, who both give her advice and taunts her at regular intervals. Okay, that is all I'm going over with the story, because really I think this game's plot is honestly bad. It's probably because I've been playing these games back to back to back, but I don't care. I think this game's plot is, well, not as what the fuck as 13-2. It's still pretty bad, but that has to do with the gameplay. Gameplay of Returns has us back in the high heels of Lightning from beginning to end, and the name of the game is walk around, talk to NPCs, do quests, save souls, fight baddies, and die. Okay, so let's just cover the ultimate flaw within the gameplay. It's time management. You ever played The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask on the Nintendo 64? Returns gameplay is basically that. I really hate time management in video games. I find them to be stressful and just not fun in general, whether in concept or execution. What isn't helping are the quests. 99.99% of them you would either need a guide in order to complete, or worst of all, some of them have a time limit to them. Why? They don't even give you quest markers, so, you know, you don't get fucking lost. But you want to know what the biggest pet peeve of mine is when it comes to this game? You have a curfew! What the fuck? You're giving an agent of, who is basically God, a curfew! It starts from 6 a.m. and ends at 6 a.m. So you basically have one real life hour to get shit done. Luckily, Lightning does have an ability to make time at least slow down for 30 real life minutes, so that takes a load of stress off my back. In terms of the overall gameplay, it's just a pretty condensed version of 13.2's overworld gameplay. It's fairly open, but not as open as 13.2, which is actually pretty good if I'm being completely honest here. Plus, doing a preemptive strike is really easier to do than the previous two games actually, behaving more like a first strike from the Mario and Luigi games, where if you strike first, the enemy starts with a bit less HP. And finally, we have a dedicated jump button. Holy shit, Lightning got some hops to her. Does she hang out with Shaq or Jordan as well as Sora in her spare time? The battle gameplay this time is called the Style Change Active Time Battle System, and it uses elements from the traditional ATB system, first appearing in Final Fantasy IV with an Atometer introduced in 5, mixed with the Paradigm Battle System from the previous two 13 games, and the Dress Sphere system from 10.2. Basically, with the press of either the shoulder buttons or the triggers, Lightning can switch outfits as your previous ones recharge. There are some special outfits you can purchase as DLC. This includes outfits based off of the likes of Yuna from 10 and 10.2, as well as Aerith and even Cloud from 7. We even have an outfit based off of Lara Croft from Tomb Raider. Basically, each garb, as they're called, comes with outfits, their weapons, as well as a shield. For example, if you purchase the Cloud outfit DLC, you get the Soldier garb based off of Cloud's outfit from the original Final Fantasy VII, his Buster Sword, and the Soldier's Band as the shielding accessory. Overall, this is my favorite battle system in the 13 Trilogy. My only problem is that I wish the recharge would be a bit faster. I'm not asking for borderline all-the-fly style switching like this is Devil May Cry 4, 5, or 3 on the Switch. I just want the recharge to be quicker. Overall, the gameplay is mixed. While the game itself in terms of the quest can be fucking stressful due to the Majora's Mask-like time limit, the battle system is actually the best of the trilogy if I'm being 100% brutally honest here. Visually, I think this is pretty good. I want to say this is a fair mid-tier in terms of visuals for the trilogy outside of the CGI cutscenes, of course. But let's be real here. Square just reused Hope's model from the original 13 and then just plastered him into this game. OST wise. Oh, fuck yeah! Lightning Returns might have the best OST ever in this trilogy. The battle theme, much like Blinded by Light from the original 13, is pretty fucking amazing, this time called Crimson Blitz Crossed Blinded by Light. But much like 13.2, we also have character themes such as Lightning's called Radiance, Snow's is called Last Words, Noel's theme, this time going for a more sinister and ominous vibe and being called the Dark Hunter.
Long ago, when I was just a boy, so how long then last of.
And so many more. This OST is legit the best in this trilogy. So now, let's recap. The story is ass. The gameplay is mixed, visually it's alright, and OST is, like I stated before, the best in the trilogy. Here are my final thoughts. Overall, everyone, Lightning Returns Final Fantasy XIII, or as I and a few others like to call it, Final Fantasy XIII 3, it's pretty mixed. While the story and overall gameplay are complete ass, and, well, stressful in the overworld's gameplay case, the battle gameplay and the OST makes up for it. Just make sure you have a guide on your hand. Overall, everyone, Final Fantasy XIII 3 gets my score of a 5.5 out of 10, with my seal of just fucking skip it unless you enjoy the battle. So ends my retrospective of the Final Fantasy XIII Trilogy. While the trilogy had its few highs, it also suffered from a whole lot of lows. Mainly in the story department, which later leaked into the gameplay. So if I had to rank the 13 trilogy, it'll probably go something a little like this. In first place, it's the original 13. What can I say? I just prefer the linearity as opposed to 13-2's more open approach. Second place would be Lightning Returns. While the battle system is the best in the trilogy, the overall gameplay and story are what brings it down. Mainly in the overall gameplay. And last place, it's 13-2 for introducing time travel, and need I say more? But of course, I want to know from you all, did you play the Final Fantasy XIII Trilogy? What did you think of it, and are they games you can recommend to a friend? Leave your answers and more down in the comments. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and while you're here, consider subscribing and turn on the bell to be notified whenever I make a new video. As always, my social media links are down below. I've been HorrorKid, and next time I'll be taking a look at a game a friend of mine gifted for me for Christmas. So till then, you all take care.